breaking news, an announcement that would echo across continents and change the course of history. Alaska discovery stuns the world. Moscow in panic. The news sent shockwaves through the corridors of power, not just in America, but all the way to the heart of Russia. In Moscow, officials scrambled to make sense of what had just happened, their faces etched with disbelief and regret. But this shockwave first hit over a century ago, in a time when the world was still being mapped, and the unknown beckoned with promise and peril. On a summer day in 1897, a steamship arrived in an American port, carrying not just passengers, but gold, tons of it. The sight was almost unbelievable. Weary travelers stepping onto the docks, their pockets and bags heavy with the precious metal, their faces alight with the thrill of discovery. The news spread like wildfire, transforming Alaska from a frozen afterthought into the most talked about place on Earth. Newspapers couldn't print fast enough to keep up with the demand, and headlines screamed of fortunes found in the wild north. Ordinary people suddenly saw a chance at extraordinary wealth. Shopkeepers, farmers, factory workers, everyone dreamed of striking it rich. The promise of gold was more than just money. It was hope, a way out of hardship, a ticket to a new life. The announcement electrified a nation still recovering from economic hardship. For many, the memory of recent financial crises was fresh, and the idea of gold waiting in the wilderness was irresistible. Stories of prospectors returning as millionaires filled newspapers, fueling hope and adventure. Every new tale of success added fuel to the fire, inspiring thousands more to dream of their own fortunes. Alaska became a mythical land of opportunity overnight. The vast, untamed wilderness was suddenly seen as a place where anyone, no matter their background, could become rich beyond their wildest dreams. The Klondike Gold Rush captured the American spirit of risk and adventure. Men and women from all walks of life packed up their belongings, said goodbye to loved ones, and set out on a journey into the unknown, driven by hope and the promise of gold. The news wasn't just a report, it was a challenge. Leave comfort behind, brave the wilderness, and seek fortune. For many, it was a once-in-a-lifetime chance to change their destiny, and they seized it with both hands. The world watched as a modern-day treasure hunt began. From Europe to Asia, people followed the story, captivated by the drama and the possibility that they too could join the rush. Meanwhile, in Russia, officials would soon regret selling Alaska for a pittance. The decision, once seen as practical, now seemed like a monumental blunder as the gold poured out of the land they had let go. Each ounce of gold pulled from Alaskan earth was a reminder of what they'd lost. The riches that now filled American pockets could have been theirs, and the sting of regret grew with every new discovery. The gold rush became a story of American fortune and Russian loss. It was a turning point, a moment when the world saw how quickly fortunes could change, and how a single discovery could reshape nations and destinies forever. The gold rush began quietly, almost as if the world was holding its breath. In the stillness of dawn, the harbor was just another sleepy port, unaware that history was about to be rewritten. The air was thick with anticipation, though no one yet knew why. Everything changed with the arrival of the SS Portland in Seattle on July 17, 1897. The ship, battered by its long journey, glided into the harbor, its decks crowded with weary travelers and mysterious cargo. Word spread quickly that something extraordinary was about to unfold. Weathered men, known as the Ton of Gold Party, disembarked, their faces sunburned and eyes shining with the thrill of discovery. They carried heavy sacks and pouches, their clothing caked with the dust of distant lands. Each step they took onto the dock seemed to echo with promise. One prospector, unable to contain his excitement, famously declared, "I've got $150,000 worth in the boat." He held up handfuls of gold dust and raw nuggets, letting them glint in the morning light. The crowd gasped, realizing that this was no rumor, this was real, tangible wealth. The secret was out, and the city erupted in excitement. People poured into the streets, shouting and cheering, their dreams suddenly within reach. The news spread like wildfire, igniting hope and ambition in every corner of Seattle. Newspapers screamed, "Gold! Gold! Gold!" Headlines blared from every newsstand, and the story dominated conversations in homes, saloons, and workplaces. The promise of instant riches was too powerful to ignore. People quit their jobs on the spot, abandoning desks, tools, and ledgers. Factories and offices emptied as men and women rushed to join the frenzy, their minds filled with visions of gold-laden rivers and untold fortune. Even Seattle's mayor, swept up in the fever, resigned from his post to join the hunt. His departure was a symbol. If the city's leader could chase the dream, so could anyone. The Klondike region in Canada's remote Yukon was the source of this frenzy. It was discovered by George Carmack Skookum Jim and Dawson Charlie, who stumbled upon gold while exploring the wild, icy riverbanks. Their find would change the course of thousands of lives. Their discovery triggered a stampede, one of the largest human migrations in American history. Men, women, and even children packed their belongings and set out on a perilous journey north, braving harsh wilderness and unforgiving weather in pursuit of a dream. The ships Excelsior and Portland became symbols of hope, their names whispered in awe. They were proof that the dream was real, that ordinary people could return transformed, their pockets heavy with gold. Thousands, desperate for a new start, saw fortune waiting in the north. Train stations and docks overflowed with hopeful emigrants, each one convinced that their luck was about to change forever. The arrival of these golden ships didn't just start a gold rush, it launched a legend. Stories of instant wealth and overnight success spread far and wide, drawing people from every walk of life. The sight of paupers turned princes was an irresistible call to action. Men who had once struggled to feed their families now strutted through town in fine clothes, their fortunes made in a matter of months. The gold rush was on. A tidal wave of humanity surged toward the Klondike, each person driven by hope, desperation, and the timeless lure of gold. The world would never be the same. News of Yukon gold triggered Klondike mania, a fever that swept the nation. In cities and towns, people obsessed over the promise of instant wealth. Over 100,000 stampeders dropped everything to chase the dream. Newspapers fueled the craze with sensational stories and maps of the goldfields. Companies sold Klondike-branded goods, and the gold rush became a pop culture phenomenon. Seattle and San Francisco ports overflowed with hopeful prospectors from all walks of life. Most had no mining experience, just hope. They sold everything to buy a year's worth of supplies, betting it all on a rumor. The migration was a spectacle of hope and desperation. The lure of gold revealed a deep belief in transformation, a core American ideal. The gold rush was the American dream, supercharged. The journey north was brutal, a true test of endurance. Most prospectors faced two routes, the slow, expensive all-water route, or the deadly overland trek via Skagway or Daya. The Chilkoot Trail meant hauling a ton of supplies up icy slopes, trip after exhausting trip. The White Pass Trail, advertised as easier, became a graveyard for thousands of horses, earning it the name Dead Horse Trail. Avalanches, blizzards, and starvation were constant threats. Many gave up. Only about 30,000 of 100,000 stampeders made it. Of those, just a few hundred struck it rich. The reality was far harsher than the dream. The journey weeded out all but the most determined. For most, the gold rush was a story of struggle and loss. The true treasure was the resilience found along the way. Long before the famous gold rush transformed its destiny, Alaska was known as Russian America, a vast, remote outpost at the edge of the world. Here, Russian fur traders braved the icy wilderness, establishing settlements among the endless forests and snow-capped mountains. The land was wild and untamed, its riches hidden beneath layers of ice and silence, and the Russian presence was marked by log cabins, fluttering flags, and a constant struggle against the elements. Russia's grip on Alaska was always tenuous. The colony was expensive to maintain, isolated from the Russian heartland, and plagued by harsh winters and supply shortages. Soldiers and settlers alike faced hunger, disease, and the ever-present threat of attack from rival traders or indigenous groups. The dream of a thriving Russian America was fading fast. By the mid-1800s, the once lucrative fur trade had collapsed, leaving the colony nearly bankrupt. Meanwhile, Russia was reeling from the costly Crimean War, and the government feared that Alaska, so close to British Canada, might be seized by Britain in a future conflict. The Tsar's advisors saw Alaska as a liability rather than an asset. Selling Alaska to the United States began to seem like a shrewd move, a way to create a buffer against British expansion in North America, and to gain much-needed funds for the Russian treasury. Diplomats on both sides began secret negotiations, weighing the risks and rewards. In 1867, after months of quiet talks, Russian Minister Eduard de Stuckel and U.S. Secretary of State William Seward reached an agreement. The United States would pay $7.2 million, about 2 cents an acre, for the vast frozen territory. It was a bold gamble for both nations. The treaty was signed quickly and in secret, with only a handful of officials aware of the details. News of the sale would soon shock the world, sparking debate and controversy on both sides of the Atlantic. For Russia, the sale was a practical decision, a way to cut mounting losses and strengthen diplomatic ties with the United States. Russian officials packed up their possessions, preparing to leave behind a land they had never truly tamed. Little did they know, beneath Alaska's icy surface lay unimaginable wealth, gold, oil, and minerals that would one day fuel America's growth. The Russians had no idea they were giving up one of the world's richest and most resource-laden regions. The sale marked the end of Russia's colonial ambitions in North America. In a solemn ceremony, the Russian flag was lowered in Sitka, replaced by the Stars and Stripes, as Russian ships departed the harbor for the last time. At the time, Alaska's true value was still hidden beneath the ice and snow. Many Americans mocked the purchase, calling it Seward's folly, convinced the land was nothing but a frozen wasteland. But for the United States, the acquisition was more than just land. It was a promise of new beginnings. Adventurous settlers, prospectors, and families soon arrived, drawn by the hope of opportunity and the lure of the unknown. Over the decades, Alaska would transform from a forgotten outpost into a land of booming industry, vibrant communities, and breathtaking natural beauty. The consequences of this historic deal would echo for generations, shaping the destiny of both nations. In the end, Russia's loss became America's gain, a decision that changed the course of history and revealed the true worth of the land they left behind. When Seward announced the Alaska purchase, Americans mocked it as Seward's folly. Critics saw only a frozen wasteland, not a land of opportunity. The press ridiculed the deal. Congress barely approved it. For decades, Alaska seemed useless, just fur, fish, and snow. Seward died before seeing his vision realized. Then, the Klondike gold rush changed everything. Gold poured out of Alaska, silencing critics overnight. The $7.2 million price tag was dwarfed by the wealth extracted. Seward's folly became Seward's bargain. The purchase is now hailed as one of history's greatest land deals. Alaska's true worth was finally revealed. Gold was just the beginning. Alaska's riches kept growing. Prospectors found vast copper deposits, sparking new booms and epic engineering feats like the Kennecott Railway. Silver, zinc, lead, timber, and a massive fishing industry followed. Alaska became a geological storehouse, fueling America's growth. The biggest discovery came in 1968, oil at Prudhoe Bay, the largest field in North America. The Trans-Alaska Pipeline, an engineering marvel, carried oil across the state. Oil wealth transformed Alaska's economy, funding the Alaska Permanent Fund and eliminating state income tax. From gold to oil, Alaska's resources repaid the purchase thousands of times over. Seward's vision was vindicated in spectacular fashion. Alaska became vital to America's prosperity and energy independence. The icebox proved to be a treasure chest. As Alaska's wealth grew, Russia's regret deepened. World War II revealed Alaska's strategic value when Japanese forces invaded the Aleutians. During the Cold War, Alaska's proximity to Russia, just 55 miles, made it a critical front line. The US built airfields, bases, and the DEDU line radar system to monitor Soviet threats. Alaska became America's guardian of the North, a shield against attack. For Moscow, Alaska was a constant source of anxiety, a dagger at its eastern flank. The land they sold for pennies became a key US asset. Russian officials have called the sale a catastrophic error. What was once a burdensome colony became a strategic gift to America. The Cold War turned Alaska into a linchpin of national security. Russia's loss was America's strategic gain. Today, Alaska is the last frontier, a land of wild beauty and immense value. Its strategic importance endures, with new global powers and Arctic shipping lanes raising its profile. Alaska remains a vital hub for defense and monitoring in a changing world. Beyond military might, Alaska is a symbol of America's natural heritage, home to iconic parks and wildlife. Tourism thrives, drawing millions to its untamed landscapes. The Alaska purchase is now celebrated as visionary, securing resources and security for generations. Alaska expanded America's borders and imagination. Its story is proof that true value isn't always obvious at first. Alaska's dual legacy, a provider of wealth and a sanctuary of wildness. The last frontier endures, a vital, cherished part of the American story.